Almost 6 years of conflict, the Ukrainian government and Russia-backed rebel forces have begun a full and comprehensive ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. This attempt is the latest in a series of peace efforts between the two sides, most of which have ended in failure. This latest ceasefire has been backed by Russia's President Vladimir Putin and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. On Sunday, Ukraine's military began preparations for the ceasefire in the war-torn region. Russian rebel officials also instructed their forces and issued a decree banning the use of weapons. This comes after more than a dozen failed attempts to broker peace. The conflict between Ukrainian troops and Russia-backed rebels in the region has killed over 13,000 people since 2014. The conflict broke out after Moscow annexed Ukraine's Crimean peninsula. Moscow's annexation of Crimea was seen as a direct assault on Ukraine's sovereignty. But the move provided a huge jolt to Putin's popularity. Despite international backlash and Russia's removal from the G8 group, Putin's annexation of Crimea was an attempt to restore Russia to its days of Soviet glory. The new ceasefire could be another boost to Zelensky's presidency. The former comedian won the 2019 elections primarily on the promise to end this conflict. Since then, Ukraine and Russia have implemented confidence-building measures, including prisoner swaps and phased troop withdrawals in designated areas. But some concerns continue to remain. Putin, however, expressed concerns over Zelensky's calls to revise the Minsk agreements. Meanwhile, Zelensky wanted Ukraine to get control of its border first before the local elections. The Kremlin has insisted that the deal should be implemented without provisions. And now being joined for more on that story by Dan Ashby here live on the broadcast. Dan, talk to us. This was the fundamental promise with which Zelensky came to power in Ukraine. But talk to us about what's in it for Putin at this stage.
Yes, exactly. So Zelensky came to power, and recently there have been these trust-building measures between President Putin and President Zelensky. We had a huge prisoner swap to start with. That was a good couple of months ago now. And then this ceasefire, grand ceasefire as some people are calling it. But as you say, there have been these sorts of ceasefires before and they failed. There is often a case where trust builds and then it collapses. At the moment, the Ukrainian military is saying it is a controlled situation. But just to give you a bit of a flavour of what we're dealing with, the Ukrainian military is saying it is sending in extra troops into the area in case of a violation. It has already accused the Russian-backed separatists of planting mines on the Ukrainian side that could go off within the next 100 hours to sabotage the whole ceasefire. So it is very tentative, it is tense, but at least, as I say, there have been these steps from both President Putin and President Zelensky to build towards a bigger and more full peace.
Right, there have been steps, Dan, but how solid do you think this one is? How good do you think are the indications that it will hold?
Well, as I say, it's a controlled situation at the moment, and both sides are making the right noises. They are saying they will respect the ceasefire, but there's this kind of get-out-of-jail clause, if you like, where the Ukrainian military says if it is attacked, it will act in self-defense under humanitarian and international law. Now, just to give you some context, right up until that ceasefire, the Ukrainian military were accusing the Russian-backed separatists of shelling on their positions, of firing on residents, even injuring a soldier just 24 hours before the ceasefire starts. So it's a long road to get through the next week without the ceasefire breaking. But I think because President Putin is backing it, as well as President Zelensky, it does have some chance of holding. But the big question here is, where does this go? Because although this is a ceasefire and its progress, the real peace deal is about Ukraine demanding the Russian separatists obey Ukrainian sovereignty, respect Ukrainian sovereignty, hold local elections, and Ukraine wants all foreign military and foreign-backed military out of Ukraine. So, though the ceasefire is a start, it is a long way to the realisation of those full accords.
Dan Ashby joining us live with that ground report from Moscow. Thank you, Dan, for being with us here on this live broadcast.